Houston, Houston, Houston.
Shed looks to go baseline cutoff, back out, uses the screen from Francis. Shed leans in, right elbow, 2 and a foul. Jamal Shed with the response. Shed, top of the arc. Here comes Roberts. Roberts kicks it to Cryer, left wing. Up top, Shed. Shed wants to attack. Step back, straight on three. Got it! Jamal Shed puts an end to the 7-0 run with a step back three. Shed back to midcourt, and Iowa State's going to call off the Dogs. Fertitta Center on their feet. Jamal Shed getting the crowd onto their feet one final time. Walks it over to Sampson. There's the final horn, and the Cougars win. Round 2 belongs to Houston. As they win the rematch 73-65 and take over sole possession at the top of the Big 12.
Kansas State, Texas.
Longhorns inbound, up 2. Hunter to the right side, I.T. Horton on the right wing. Horton guarded by Kaluma, swings it. Asmus comes off a screen, fires a straightaway jumper, good, and there it is. Max Asmus has just become the 12th player in NCAA basketball history to attain 3,000 career points. Number 12 on the all-time list, Max Asmus, 3,000 career points. Texas up 35-31, Kansas State into the corner. Dylan Mitchell, now to Tyrese Hunter, right side, bounce pass to the Sioux, draws a double team, bounce pass into a wide open Mitchell for the slam dunk.
Good job of staying in the play, Dylan Mitchell moving without the ball.
11-point Texas lead, their largest of the ball game, first double-digit lead. 8 minutes to go, it's 46-35. Second free throw is good for Carter. Lead down to 6 again with 23.7 to go. Longhorns will inbound, Cunningham works it to Asmus. And he weaves through traffic. They don't want to foul him. And he got rid of the ball to Tyrese Hunter. Then sends it into the Sioux, and that'll do it. A slam dunk.
Just a good job of being patient with the ball and not panic.
We got to make a few more shots. It's the lulls. And whether it was the first half, this time it was the second half, where we probably went about 6 minutes or so about across 2 medias that we didn't get good looks. They just blew up everything we was trying to do. We need to play with more force and impose our will on them, and they did it to us. But once again, the way the guys responded at the end, man, we're pretty good at the end of the game, executing, coming back. We just have to get ourselves out of a situation where we have to come back.
Missouri.
The University of Missouri's athletic director is leaving. According to ESPN, Desiree Reed-Francois is expected to take a job with the University of Arizona. The network reports the move will be formalized soon. Reed-Francois has spent nearly 3 years leading the athletic department at Mizzou.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John, Nate Bukaty, and Jake Gutierrez. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. Again, I apologize for my voice. I took an extra day to try to rest my voice yesterday, and it worked because I was unable to talk at all on Sunday, or really yesterday. So
yeah,
it helped.
I was a little concerned about yesterday. You did some live reads, and
how'd those sound to you? Great.
No, not great. It did have me concerned, but you sound improved.
Yeah, that was
much
improved. And let me tell you something. I tried over and over and over again. It took, I want to say, about an hour to do those, to even get those to where I could, do a whole 60-second live read. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
because I'd get to like the 30-second mark and then just my voice would give out, or I'd get to the 40-second
I
mark
almost
and
said, just let's punt it.
a dog would howl.
Augie. Or the new pup.
Coco.
Coco.
Yeah.
Coco beware.
Coco St. John. Danny only howls in response to the others. So, but yeah, so it's a lot better than it was yesterday. It'll warm up. Man, I'm doing everything I can possible. So we'll see. We'll get through it.
Keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah, but here I am. So
here you are.
Yeah. Yep.
Here we are.
How about that?
Here we all are.
Yeah, that's right. Mike DeCourcy will be on the show later on in the 7 o'clock hour. And look, yeah, you're just going to have to crank me up because I'm not talking loud.
Yeah, no, I got you. You talk.
I'm the sports whisperer.
Yeah, I got you cranked.
Mike DeCourcy.
There's plenty of juice in here.
From the Sporting News, Gabe DeArmond from PowerMizzou.com. We'll have Mark Borichter in studio in the 8 o'clock hour, and then we'll talk to Jack Johnson live from Surprise, Arizona, where he is out there covering spring training with Seren Petro.
That's my guy.
Seren?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't think you guys were close.
Jack.
Oh, okay. All right. You learn something new every day.
Seren is writing down today.
Jake's guy.
Seren Petro, Jake's guy.
They're both my guys.
There we go. That's right. For people that don't know, what do you do with Jack at 10 a.m. every day?
10 a.m. We do a show. Jack hosts a show called The Shift on ESPN Kansas City, 94.5 and 1510 a.m. So I've been doing that pretty much since I came back. I kind of took that role over. That was something Marco did before he took this job. And then I kind of just picked it up for Marco. And so I've really enjoyed getting to know Jack, and I think he does a hell of a job. There's very few people I know around here that know and pay as close attention to baseball as he does, which shocks me. Being he's only, I think, 25 years old. A young person enjoying baseball as much as he does is a little bit abnormal in these times. So I think he does a great job, and I enjoy working with Jack on a daily basis.
And he's not the singer-songwriter.
No.
Jack Johnson. He's also not.
I'm a big fan of that Jack Johnson.
He's also not the first black heavyweight champion.
No, he's not. He's not. He does not sing about banana pancakes.
I like that Jack, the first black heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
You should watch the documentary that HBO did about him.
I watched the Ken Burns one. That's different?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I always got to say something different, don't you?
Yeah.
I said the HBO. Well, I'd like the Ken Burns one.
Well, I didn't know if it was the same
Ken
one.
Burns because that'll make me
It'd be funny
more,
if
the smartest guy in the room. So I'm gonna say Ken Burns.
The PBS guy.
That's totally what I was thinking.
Doing the HBO, but I bet they're both quality.
There's a lot of content about him out there, so
Okay.
I bet it's all good. Usually, just people drop Ken Burns to one up someone.
Well, that's definitely what I was trying to say.
I like baseball.
Mission accomplished.
Well, have you seen the Ken Burns baseball?
Is there any other documentary about baseball? I didn't know.
Baseball.
Yeah, actually, Ken Burns did a documentary on country music that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He also did one on the Civil War.
Is there a documentary that Ken Burns hasn't done? Ken Burns.
Do one on himself.
That would be interesting.
Would it?
You really one up people if you watch that.
So last night was a pretty good night in the Big 12. A couple of nice matchups on Big Monday, including it's weird to have a showdown for first place between, at least right now on paper, the two best teams in the Big 12 that are ranked in the top 6, and one of them is not Kansas.
It's odd.
Did it feel weird last night?
This whole season's felt weird.
Iowa State, number 6. Houston, number 2. Last night in Houston. And I know there's no moral victories, but I almost feel like the fact that Iowa State didn't get blown out says something, because a lot of teams go to Houston and just get run off the floor. But Houston won 73-65. And so then now they have 10 wins in conference. They're 10-3, and Iowa State's 9-4. So the battle for first place last night goes to Houston. And then K-State at Texas. K-State hung around. They had a chance, but they had a good chance when Texas missed a couple of free throws. And Tyler Perry had the ball in his hands with under a minute left and drove and had a great move and actually freed up for as open of a layup or a close shot as you could hope for in that situation. And if he hits that, it's a 2-point game with a little under 40 seconds left, and then you don't know, but he missed the shot. And then that was pretty much it. And Texas holds on for a 62-56 victory. And now they moved to 6-7, and K-State falls to 5-8. So, yeah, that was a tough couple of days for K-State. They lose a couple of close games, and now they are in trouble. Houston's on top of the conference at 10-3. Iowa State's 9-4. Baylor's 8-4. KU's 8-5. And then TCU and Texas Tech both 7-5. BYU 6-6. And then after that, everyone else is under 500. So, I mean, it looks like after last night, it's Houston's conference to win. They play at Baylor coming up on Saturday.
Go Bears.
Right. Everyone else needs Baylor to win there. They host Cincinnati. Then they play at Oklahoma, at UCF, and then they host Kansas. It would, I mean,
the only threat really should be Baylor. I mean, Cincinnati might give them a decent game, but probably not.
Right.
So, I mean, for Kansas to have any chance going into that last weekend, they need Baylor to knock off the Cougs.
But, and then KU has to run the table.
Right. Yeah, that's the other part. They have to, run the next 4 games, which
it seems to be increasingly difficult to win at Houston.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that win last night kind of locked it up for Houston. But we've seen crazier things happen.
Kansas plays Texas coming up Saturday. I don't, it's at Allen Fieldhouse. That'll be a win. They play BYU. That's at Allen Fieldhouse. That'll be a win. But then they play at Baylor, home against K-State, at Houston. So I would say, chalk up 3 wins and then see what they could do at Baylor and at Houston.
I don't know how they calculated, but the ESPN predictor has Houston with a 92.3% chance of beating Kansas at home in that last game. 92.
Probably ought to wait to see if there's any injuries or.
Yeah, I just think that seems that's amazing. How many times would that have happened for Kansas on the road in a Big 12 game?
Even though they lost last night, the team with the best schedule of the top teams is Iowa State. I mean, I could absolutely see them running the table. That's why if they would have won last night, I think they would have won the conference for sure.
I think you're right.
They host West Virginia. They host Oklahoma. They're at UCF. They host BYU, and they're at Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they could lose at Kansas State. I mean, sure, they could drop. I mean, but I would pick them to win out.
I bet they'll be favored in all those games.
Yeah.
So just think if they would have won last night, they could have had a 1-game lead and that schedule. But, hey.
Did they win Jake some money? They covered by a point.
No, I stayed away from that. Line was weird. It started moving. It was 9 early, and then it started dropping down to 7.5.
Oh, so they didn't cover for everybody.
No, so depends on how early you got on it because it closed at 7.5. And once I saw it start moving, I got away from it. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was at 9 yesterday morning we were talking about it.
Right.
And so depending on what time you got in,
Yep.
Man.
It closed at 7.5. So.
Why do you have a hood on right now?
I don't know. I was cold this morning.
Well, I thought is it like a fashion deal or is it something that you're?
How's it look? Does it look all right?
It looks fine. I just
look
usually
like
have.
Kenny? They killed Kenny?
You usually have a method to your madness or a reason.
Nah, I cold. Got out of the cold tub and it never really warmed up. chilly one this morning.
I thought it was refreshing.
It felt great.
Yeah.
Yesterday was colder, but body's still warming up. That's the great thing about the cold plunge.
So we're going to have Gabe DeArmond on a little bit later, and we're going to talk to him about Desiree Reed-Francois leaving Missouri to become the AD at Arizona. She'll be getting, according to one report, she'll be getting a 5-year contract with a base of $1 million for first year that will increase to $1.2 million in the 5th year of her contract. I believe that's a little less than she's making at Mizzou. But when we'll talk to him as we get we'll talk to him at 7:30 and get his thoughts on why. And I know this caught a lot of people off guard, and a lot of people were well, depends on who you talk to. A lot of people on social media were upset. A couple of people that I talked to were not. So, a very polarizing figure at Mizzou. Can't argue with her success as far as fundraising and getting stuff done. Her last year at this time, her crown jewel was hiring Dennis Gates. That is that is not the feather in the cap right now that it was a year ago at this time. Just think about where Mizzou basketball was and the things that were being said about Dennis Gates this time last year. Oh, what a great hire. She had a home run. Fantastic. You will not catch anyone calling that hire a home run right now. Because it's not just a bad season, it is it's a season. I hate bringing this gentleman's name up, but this is worse than, or as bad as anything Kim Anderson ever put out there. And this is as bad as what got Conzo Martin run off. They played Tennessee, who's number 5 in the nation, tonight. So there's every reason to believe they'll lose that game, and they're going to be underdogs the rest of the way. So there's a hell of a chance they finish 0-18 in the conference. And as Gabe has talked about, that's not just that's god awful. That changes the trajectory of a program. So that wasn't good. Also, I will talk to Gabe about this. This story came out last week or about a week and a half ago, February 8th. This was not nothing. So remember this also when you're wondering why Desiree Reed-Francois left. The story is in the Columbia Missourian. The University of Missouri system establishes Mizzou Athletics Oversight Committee seeking information and accountability. The system leadership established a new oversight committee that will monitor Mizzou athletics amid broad changes to college sports and rising spending by the athletic department. The UM System Board of Curators voted unanimously to create the Mizzou Intercollegiate Athletics Special Committee during its regularly scheduled meeting on the MU campus. The 4-member committee's oversight will range from finances to progress of athletic facilities, renovations to name, image, likeness, compensation, and the future of the NCAA. And so there are people that feel like the curators were jacked with her too much, for lack of a better description. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that she didn't like that. She didn't like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking for reasons and thinking, I'm not just saying this is it, but that's significant. That's not nothing. And we'll ask Gabe about that. Also, remember this, and I think this is important to remember. I've talked to enough people to feel pretty confident in saying when Eli Drinkwitz was given his contract extension, right? And remember that was criticized by a lot of people? Looks like the right decision now, right?
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't on board. That wasn't her idea. But the board of curators wanted to give him the contract extension. Remember, that wasn't her hire.
Mm.
And if you remember, the previous AD presented the board of curators with a list of 3 names, and the board of curators said, no, go do better. And that's what led to Eli Drinkwitz. And so you can't get too pissed off if you're a Mizzou fan. And the word that I was looking for, a moment, meddling. There are people that feel like, if you were in Desiree Reed Francois' camp, you felt like the board of curators meddled too much in her business.
Yeah.
Okay? And she wasn't ready to give Drinkwitz, or so the story goes, wasn't ready to give Drinkwitz an extension. The board of curators were. They're all in. That's their guy, right? And so it was up to Drinkwitz to prove him right. So how did that play out?
Pretty well for Drinkwitz. Pretty well.
So if there was any type of, I don't know, power struggle or any type of who ended up.
If that's the way the story went, the board of curators would be the ones that could say, yeah, we were on the right side of that one.
Right. I will tell you that based on everything I've been told, Eli Drinkwitz didn't lose any sleep last night.
Ah.
All right. So that's well, I can just tell you that. I don't believe that Drinkwitz is sad to see her go. I don't believe that was a great relationship. I don't believe he was a big fan of hers. Well, I mean, if you know that there's an extension being talked about, and you know there's someone that's against that extension, and you know there's people that are, how are you going to feel?
Probably much bigger fan of the people that want to give me the contract extension.
And then if you go out and have one of the best seasons in Mizzou football history and win the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State and coach up a quarterback, you know, that was maligned in the Mizzou fan base and turned him into one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC and turned a walk-on running back into a kid that was an All-American that finished in the top 10 in the Heisman voting and by all accounts getting ready to churn out a bunch of NFL draft picks and all these things that he did. Not just him, but that's his program. That's his football program, right? If you get an extension like that, and not everyone was on board. People on this radio station that criticized it, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. But then it was like, okay, Drinkwitz, now you got to show us. Well, he showed you, right? And so then what? I would imagine that football coach is pretty empowered.
Yes.
Right?
He's feeling himself.
Wow, that sounds totally inappropriate.
Well,
but do you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's bad or it's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because remember when he was given the extension, that wasn't like, wow, really?
Well, shoot, going into the K-State game this year, it was like, is Drinkwitz coaching for his job? I mean, it sounds silly to say now, but that was happening into the regular season this year. So yeah, it wasn't like everybody just thought, oh, this is a no-brainer. We were having talks about whether or not it was any better than the Barry Odom era.
And I mean, he absolutely busted through. I mean, this was,
and then some. I mean, it wouldn't have taken this good of a year for it to seem like a good hire.
Right. And we're not talking about the extension that was announced after winning the Cotton Bowl. We're talking about the extension that was announced previously. Right?
Yep.
And so And there's also been talk that now, hey, look, again, results are what matter. And the fundraising and everything else have been terrific. But there was a lot, from the moment she came in, there was a lot of turnover. A lot of turnover. And there's different stuff out there. Just, talk to people that work. There's a lot of people that work in the athletic department, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there were some people that were pretty outspoken that she was extremely demanding, not enjoyable to work for, but she also got results. Okay, and not everyone's fun to work for, but that's how they get results. But I know that, there was a lot of people that, well, Jake, how would you say, when we used to work for Whitlock, what was his, he was our direct boss, right?
Yeah.
What was his approach? How did he motivate? By what?
Pretty passive aggressive. He was.
I felt like he motivated by fear. He kept you on edge.
Yeah, he kept you. You never knew where you really stood. At times. Right?
I felt like you kind of knew where you stood, and it was always on the edge of a cliff.
Okay, that's fair.
And he would tell you that he's saving you from being pushed off,
right,
when that might have been his hand that was on your back pushing you.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I guess you did know where you stand, and that was, somewhere not very comfortable.
Right. And so and that's, I've heard from a couple of different people that it was just it was uncomfortable work environment, but that's sometimes that's just what the job calls for.
Sure.
Very demanding, very, just very challenging. But some people can thrive under that environment, I don't know. Again, it's like, who do you talk to? And then they'll tell you, hey, she was great. She raised, and let me tell you something. She was great with the media and great with the fans. She knew how to work the media, and she knew how to work the fans. And those are two important aspects of being the athletics director. You get the media on your side, and you get the fans on your side, and that's half the battle, or sometimes even more. It was really interesting to me. She was such a polarizing figure. I know someone that is heavily involved in the program that just did not like her at all. Because a couple of times in public she was somewhat condescending and just, or at events. But then I talked to someone else, says, wow, she walks into a room and she owns the room and she knows how to shake hands and kiss babies. She's this, that. There's something about her. She just, she got this magnetism or whatever. And that's the way it is. When anyone leaves a job, you can have people that supported her or support that person and thought she did a great job. But there was a lot. There was just, it was crazy. There was so polarizing. But I will tell you that, if you're not going to be on the same page as the football coach, and that football coach becomes wildly successful, then,
which is not, especially since he wasn't her hire. That's a situation a lot of ADs get themselves.
And let me tell you something else. You guys know this. A lot of this is very political, right? If you don't have a great relationship with the board of curators, and the football coach has a great relationship with the board of curators, very good relationship. It's just That's a difficult dynamic right there.
Right.
As the saying goes, as the saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun, right? I mean, we saw this as far back as Roy Williams and Dr. Al Bowl standing in his driveway talking about how the head coach, could let me soar with my vision for the athletic department or crush me like a dove.
I believe the Kansas basketball coach had the power to hold his athletic director in his hand like a dove. And he had the choice to either crush me with his power of influence or let me fly with my visions for a better total program.
Crushed.
You know, it's no secret in big athletics departments who the most powerful person in the building is, right? In most places, especially in the SEC, it's the head football coach if he's winning.
Better not butt heads with the head football coach.
Right. Yeah.
Especially in the season where you just won 11 games.
I mean, there's one person might be the other person's boss,
right?
Technically,
on paper,
but that's
it's nice in theory.
Yeah,
but in practice, that's not how it works.
If you're a coach on the hot seat, maybe not so powerful.
Right. And I do think the other side of this is that she jumped to a real weird situation. Like, Arizona, they have some problems there. They all of a sudden came up with a $177 million, mishap in their budget. A deficit of 177.
Well, what's the problem?
I mean, misplace a comma when you're doing some math. Right. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, just ask the Pentagon.
What?
Oh boy.
What just happened?
Jake just happened.
But that's the interesting, she's not.
Clearly, she wants to get to the Big 12. I mean, can you blame her?
Nah, right, yeah.
She's a basketball.
It's just a real weird situation. It's not like she's going to a thriving athletic department right now. I mean,
and apparently what Stevens thought is she's not going for a pay raise either.
Right. So.
She also went to law school in Arizona.
Yeah, and she's from California, and that's closer to home, obviously.
Right. I mean, that's part of it. Sometimes you want to go home.
Yeah.
And so, and the extension that I'm talking about was not just this recent one, because of course he deserved one.
Yeah.
I'd have given him one as soon as the clock hit zero. Basically, kind of did.
They did. That night.
They gave him the board of curators extended Drinkwitz in November of 22. Remember, it was after they won on the road against a ranked South Carolina team. And that was the one that I'm talking about. Remember that happened? Like, wow. And that was a big win.
Yeah.
But then everyone said, wow, okay, extension. And I'm not telling you that she didn't think he was a good football coach or whatever else, but it's okay. I mean, it's not crazy for someone to say, you know what, I wasn't on board with the extension at that time.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait to the end of the season.
Yeah.
But also, if you're not on board with it, and the board of curators say, okay, great, thanks for your input. Eli Drinkwitz, here's your extension. What's that do to the dynamic?
Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm not really the athletic director.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if he knows she wasn't on board with the extension, and he got it at the board of curators, what's that do to the dynamic? And then if he goes out and has 11 wins, wins the Cotton Bowl, what's that do to the dynamic? How about that extension, huh? You think I deserve it now? But look, that helped everyone. That helped her, right?
Right.
Everyone wants that. When you win like that in football, that helps everybody.
Mm-hmm.
A rising tide lifts all ships. That helps. That made her look good. That made everyone look good. But you've seen it at KU. You've seen it. We've seen it at K-State. We've seen it everywhere. Backroom politics and what goes on, that we don't see. And then they form this committee. Oh, we're going to oversee everything that you do. Yeah. We're just going to take a look. You going to tell me that timing? They just announced that 12 days ago, and then like, oh, okay, go in Arizona, bye. that's not nothing.
Right.
Bye-bye.
It's not coincidence.
So we'll talk to Gabe more about it. We'll see what happens next, you know. But just remember, the most important thing, especially in these times we live in, the most important thing in an athletic department is football.
So who does Eli want?
And then the second most important thing is football. And then after that is football. And then we can start talking about other stuff. But like the top 3 or 4, and especially in the SEC, it's football. You know? So we'll take a break. Back after this on WHB. Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm just thinking about how my friends have been making fun of my voice the past several days, so that's all. You can't. You gotta laugh. You'll cry, right? So. And a few people tell me that I sound like Frank Pentangeli from Godfather. From The Godfather 2. You remember Frank Pentangeli? They brought his brother in from Italy, had him sit in the courtroom.
Frank was a real pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well. Well, they said Michael Corleone is the Godfather, so I say, oh, sure, yeah, whatever. I told them what they wanted to hear. So.
The bitch is more than Frankie, they feel cheated. Michael, you're sitting high up in the Sierra Mountains, and you're drinking, what's he drinking? Champagne cocktails.
He's drinking champagne cocktails, so.
High up in the Sierra Mountains.
I don't know why, but this has been on a lot, so I've been going through Godfather, the trilogy, and I do sit and watch Godfather 3 because I'm a masochist. I don't care. And I look.
It gets a bad rap.
Well, because you're comparing it to Godfather 1 and 2.
It's not as bad as everybody says it
What
is.
the problem was the casting. That was one of the main problems, okay? Because, here we go, don't get me started on this. Because Michael Corleone's daughter, at the time, was supposed to be played by Winona Ryder. Okay, and she was one of the best young actresses at that time. She had to drop out. And so Francis Ford Coppola puts his daughter, Sofia Coppola, who's turned out to be a wonderful director.
Yeah, Academy Award winner.
Horrific actress.
Not good.
In that movie,
Right.
She was horrible.
She was bad.
And I watched about 2 hours of The Godfather 3 yesterday. She's worse than I remember. Just terrible.
I watched it about a year ago.
The delivery of the lines is like,
bad.
oh my God. Why
forced.
did you do, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other one, and my mom always loved him, right? But George Hamilton as a consigliere, no.
Right.
No. You know who was great? Is Vincent? Andy Garcia. He was fantastic. There was just so many bizarre casting options or casting decisions for that. And the story was very convoluted, very difficult to follow, but But I sat and watched, because you watch a movie originally when you're a kid or the first time you watch it, and then like for The Godfather 2, I watch like it in chunks. I'll watch 45 minutes here. It's on. Let me watch this part of it. Or let me watch till it's over. I can't remember the last time I sat down and watched the whole thing. And then I sat down and watched the whole thing. Turns out, Jake, what a classic. It's fantastic. But just watching the whole thing and you're like, oh, just the way the story flows and back and forth. And, and you see De Niro turning into Vito, and then you see Michael as he goes, he was so, it's so amazing that you say Pacino was so great because his performance was understated. right? It was like a slow burn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To where, later on in life, he was a man of excess and overacting, which I still appreciate. But it was because,
It was before he became Al Pacino.
Well, exactly right. So there you go. So I'm Frank Pentangeli, apparently, according to a couple of my friends. Did you read this line? I go, why don't you leave me alone? I'm not supposed to talk. I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. So what about, now that you can freely speak about this, boy, it didn't take long last night. I'm getting text messages, hey, Sporting Kansas City, soccer. So what's going on?
I wore a shirt in yesterday. I wore my I Love Soccer shirt. And I said, all right, Steven's not here and the band's been lifted. It's 4 hours of soccer.
What do you got? What's coming up?
I didn't really talk too much. I'm actually hosting the kit launch party for Sporting Kansas City tonight down at the Truman. So that'll be fun.
Tell people that are not soccer fans what a kit launch is.
Well, it's kind of changed, but the idea is...
How about a uniform reveal?
A uniform reveal.
That's what it is.
Right.
There you go.
I mean, just,
Yeah.
I used to watch Knight Rider, and there'd be a kit launch every now and again. Kit would jump over stuff. It was great.
Michael.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's a guy out there, kit launch. The hell is he trying to...
Yeah. Language is funny, man.
Right.
I'm getting a lot...
Uniform reveal.
Uniform reveal. But they technically have already revealed the uniforms online because now Adidas has them do it all on social media. But for years and years and years, as long as I can remember, Sporting's always had a big party for their season ticket members and things like that. And the players come out. I get to introduce the players. I get to introduce the new play-by-play crew that'll be here on the...
Who dat?
Blake Airney, who's a really good young man who interned for us in the past and for us on the Sporting Kansas City broadcast.
I have no memory of him.
And John Kempen, former goalkeeper for Sporting Kansas City. They're going to be doing the game. So I get to introduce them. I get to introduce the team, and it's down at the Truman. So that'll be fun. The Sporting Kansas City season opener is at Houston on Saturday. My game is down in Orlando Saturday, but in week 2, which is the home opener for Sporting, I'm on the call of that one on Apple TV. So I'm excited about that. Sporting KC hosting Philadelphia. So, the season gets started. The actual season starts tomorrow with Miami. I don't know if you know this, but they're trying to really promote this Miami team in Major League Soccer. They got Lionel Messi, some of his buddies. Luis Suarez and Sergio Busquets.
He's the biter.
The biter, yeah. I don't know if you guys also saw this, but Lionel Messi posted an apology to Hong Kong and the country of China on video yesterday.
It was not a political stance.
I was wondering if you had any conspiracy theories on that, Jake, but
because he didn't play.
Because he didn't play, and I actually did the play-by-play for that match on Apple TV, which most likely the only 2 times I'll ever get to call a Messi game. They were preseason friendlies. One was in Saudi Arabia, and then one was in Hong Kong. And in the Hong Kong game, he never played because he picked up an injury in training. And the Chinese government is now so mad at Messi that Argentina, the national team, is scheduled to play 2 games in China, and this country of China has canceled those games. Said that any team that has Messi on it is not allowed to play in the country of China now. So he put out an apology yesterday. So I was involved in a weird bit of soccer history, I guess you could say. But yeah, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories that he was doing it because it was a stance against the Chinese government or something like that. He's saying
I wouldn't blame him.
That was not the case. But anyway, they play tomorrow night, and then everybody else plays on Saturday. So yeah, MLS season starting up, man. I'm excited about it. Excited to be a part of MLS season pass for year 2 of this deal and get the season started. I think it's going to be an interesting year for Sporting KC. They had the terrible start to the season last year. First 10 games they didn't win. There were people calling for Peter Vermeer's job. And then when he got his players healthy, like Polito and Kinda, they started winning. And from that point on, they had more points than anybody in the Western Conference, and they made it to the playoffs and beat St. Louis, made it to the conference semifinals. And they really haven't made many big changes to the team. They've made a couple of additions, but Gotti Kinda left. He's a designated player, which is you get 3 slots where you can pay guys a lot of money, basically. And he's one of them. And they have not replaced him with another designated player as of yet. So they have an open designated player spot going into the season. And Peter Vermees is shown to be the kind of person that will be patient trying to fill that. So I'll be interested to see. They've got the talent, obviously, to be one of the better teams in the West, but they're getting a little older. And can they stay healthy throughout the course of an entire season, I think, is the big question that they're going to have this year.
Shall we break, Jake?
Launch.
Yes, we should break.
All right. If you say so. Back after this on WHB.